All right. So finally, Bahrain testing is done, and we had 3 days, thousands of laps between teams, and then we had pretty much every team saying that they're not sandbagging and the other teams are actually fast compared to them. And playing the political games and pressure shifting games. But amidst all of this, we as fans thought that, okay, who is looking fast? And pretty much honestly, this is the most interesting pre-seasons that we have had over in a few years. Because first of all, we don't have like a single team that is running away as a clear favorite. We have the top 4 teams which are closely matched between each other, and that could be the crucial point moving forward this season. And I honestly think that this season will be more like track or circuit based results, and different tracks might suit different teams. We never really know. So without any hesitation, without any delay, let's get into it. I am your grid guy, and let's talk about it, shall we? Right, no beating around the bush. Let's start with Mercedes. Now, if you watch these sessions casually and focusing on Mercedes, you might have probably thought that, yeah, they look solid. But if you watched it closely, you feel that they looked complete. Performance runs, they were right up there. Long runs, mileage runs, they were right up there. Deployment wise, they were right up there. They were near the top on lap times almost all 3 days. And more importantly, they ran a lot of laps. And this is massive in testing, getting so much of mileage runs and sorting yourself out in the performance runs. This looks like a complete package to me. And their drivers, George and Kimi, they look comfortable immediately with the car, both with the grip and also with how they drive and the usage of their power units. But there is a but. And back in the Barcelona testing, we saw that the Mercedes PU was bulletproof with its reliability, and even I said the same in my previous video that they looked solid with their power unit package and they don't have any concerns. But that was not the case this testing, and as you see, we had a few issues when Kimi was having his session with Mercedes, and they spent a lot of time in the garage. Mainly on the second day and on the third day as well, they couldn't get so much of performance runs, or they couldn't complete their plans, so to say. But they looked a bit vulnerable, slightly exposed with their reliability sort of side of things, and especially when you compare it with the rivals on the likes of Ferrari, they looked reliably very good, and we are going to talk about them later. But apart from that, they did not have any major issues, and they completed all of their runs, all of their planned sessions smoothly. And a couple of corrections for them as a team if they sort out the slight reliability issues or concerns that they have or they had in this testing. Yeah, that's the team to watch out for. And also talking about their power unit and the battery side of things, their deployment looked consistent and very smooth. Be it on the straights, be it on the corners, their deployment was massive. And that is the most crucial part as you go in the season, where the deployment is very important if you want to have a good qualifying lap, or if you want to have a smooth overtake and then defend yourself once you are done with the overtake. These things matter, and compared to the other power units or the rivals on the grid, their deployment is really, really good. Yeah, I mean, this testing, they did not show their true pace. As a fan, or from what I observed, they were hiding a massive amount of speed and pace in their PU. They were just focusing on the mileage runs and sorting out their mechanical platform mainly. But I feel that their true pace would be seen in Australia, which is not that far, just 20 days from now. And so let's see how it goes. Now, it's the time to speak about that certain team in red, the Scuderia Ferrari. You see, this testing, Ferrari were peak Ferrari this week. Initially, to start with, they looked really rapid, especially with their performance runs. They are one step above everyone else, but still, this is testing and times doesn't matter. We don't know what the other teams are hiding, or the engine modes, or the amount of fuel that they run on the car. But hey, you have to take all the glory that they're showing right now. And this could be finally our year. But jokes apart, Ferrari looked really good this testing, both with performance runs and also with the long runs. They looked right up there with Mercedes, especially with Leclerc. When he started the testing the first half of the day one, he looked pretty comfortable with the car and he set the fastest time of that session, and he continued where he left off during the final day, which was yesterday, and he was right there. And if you followed the testing on the final hours of day 3, the fastest laps he was setting compared to the other teams, he just put in fresh tires, go out, do an out lap, and then set the fastest lap. And he did the same couple or 3 times in a row. And the final fastest lap he set was like 8 tenths to the next driver, Lando Norris, who was in the second. I don't know if they're doing on purpose or if they're focusing on the glory runs, but you could see the atmosphere or the emotions in the garage with the mechanics or with the team or with the drivers, especially with both Lewis and Charles. They couldn't hide their smile, and this shows that they have found something, and that would be massive if that would help. Now we are in this budget cost cap era, and each thing you innovate, each thing you find out something should be very, very important. You can't just innovate something and just throw it later if that's not of use. And then we had this crazy innovation from the team where they bought this wing which was turning 180 degree on the straights, and no one really knows what it does or how it's helping the car. Some people say that it's helping the battery deployment issues. Some are saying that it's 6 km faster in the straights using that wing compared to the normal wing. But hey, only Ferrari knows the data that they have, and we should just wait and see what it actually does. And I have also seen some reports with Ferrari that their energy deployment mainly on the straights looks a bit concerning when especially compared to Mercedes. So yeah, considering everything, if they fix the interruptions that they had in the testing, and if they also had these problems with energy deployment, which is not consistent right now, and they managed to fix it, trust me, they are right up there in the title fight this season with both Charles and Lewis. Yeah, we could have a pretty exciting season going ahead. Now, talking about McLaren. So they are reigning constructor champions 2024 and 2025. But before getting into this, I seriously want to ask you something. Even after 3 days of testing in Bahrain, and also the last week, and also the private shakedown in Barcelona, why is McLaren not being hyped up right now? Like seriously, if you watch the testing closely, considering everything in general, McLaren were right up there with Mercedes and Ferrari. They logged a huge amount of mileage, and they had the cleanest test probably compared to the other teams on the grid. Lando looked really confident with the car, especially in those tricky braking zones. And Oscar was looking smooth and consistent, especially in the long runs. He looked terrific, absolutely right there. And the car overall looked balanced. No snapping, no unpredictability, or no oversteer or understeer. It was just there, smooth in all the braking zones and down the straights or in the high-speed corners as well. And most importantly, under these new regulations, stability is the absolute gold. And honestly, I have been seeing this or considering this that since the private shakedown in Barcelona started up until now, McLaren are being criminally underrated. Like, they're not being hyped, or they're not being considered in the title fight, or like right there in the top 4 teams. I understand, because the hype was completely around Mercedes. The hype was massive when the shakedown started with Ferrari and also with the Red Bull. And McLaren are quiet about how they are going with the things, and that's probably one of the major reasons that they're not hyped up. And also the monkey they're carrying behind their back from the previous season has gained them a lot of critics, and that's being suppressed to the fact that they look really good with the car. But I feel they're right up there, and considering different change in the circuits this season, they are going to probably challenge both Mercedes and Ferrari, and also Red Bull in that case. Let's not forget, they have 2 incredibly good drivers who competed for a championship last season, and they look very close, very, very close. And the team is able to build a good car. They look balanced, and yeah, I would definitely not count them out this season. So now, Red Bull, the team in blue, they had a good test. They had a silent test like McLaren, and it's quite a curious case where they still stack up in the pecking order, but they're really right there in the top 4 as of now. So in a classic way, Red Bull didn't dominate this test, and that looks more suspicious to me. They still maintain the top speed on straights, and in the high speed corners they're still the team to beat, and the energy deployment, especially in the straight, it's still very Red Bull. Like the other top teams, they also had some issues. They had to spend some time in the garage, but nothing catastrophic. But they were not topping every session or every session of the day. And Max, he didn't feel like he was pushing to the limit, which is always terrifying, because Max is the one who pushes to the limit to know the car, and he wasn't doing that this testing. Because if Max suddenly decides to extract every ounce of performance from that car, Red Bull will suddenly look unbeatable. But like the classic way, the usual way, Red Bull doesn't look like a clear favorite during the preseason testing. You should really never count out the team, and they will be back. They will for sure try to challenge for the title, if not consistently win the races. So now, a lot of positive things, a lot of good things, top team sorted out, pecking order done, etc, etc. We have to talk about some bad things, and a certain team in green which had a horrible testing, if not a disastrous testing before the season starts, and that's not ideal particularly. Aston Martin. Oh my god, what has this team become? This week, this testing, the final preseason testing was really rough for them. This was supposed to be a big year for the team. New direction, new infrastructure. They signed Adrian Newey to design their car, and they also signed in Andy Cowell from Mercedes, who was responsible for that dominant Mercedes PO in 2014. And everyone thought that this is an ideal scenario for the team, and that should be possible for them to challenge for the title, and things doesn't go right for them at the moment. They partnered with Honda from this season, and everyone thought that they would look really strong, because Honda was with Red Bull in the last few years, and one of the main reasons why Max won his previous championships, and that was the reason Aston Martin was hyped up really as a title challenger this year. But at this moment, their PU, their battery deployment, their gearbox, their reliability, their car overall looks horrible. They just managed to run 68 laps in the course of 3 days. The horrible part, they missed the entire day 3 of the testing. Not even a single completed lap. And their team representative, Pedro de la Rosa, also said that they are not there where they want to be, and they are not trying to manage the issues. And the concern right now is if they really finish the first race of the season in Melbourne, and that looks pretty down right now. And also they're heading to the first round of the season with very less data, very less running, and that's not ideal, and that's not what you want when you want to have a good car, when you want to bring some upgrades from what you learned in the testing. And yeah, they are in the mud right now, but what I feel is that, like Newey said, that platform is good for bringing upgrades, and it has a high ceiling as the season progresses. But right now, yeah, it's not just the car, it's also mainly with the PU that they're having the problems, and Honda has to sort it out, both with the battery and the internal combustion engine, where they have these problems, and this non-ideal thing could cost them severely in the first half of the season. So yeah, apart from these teams, a big shout out to Cadillac and Audi. Cadillac had a smooth running this test. They are really slow, but that's expected from the team, which is their new season. And they had, yeah, reliable side of things. They have the Ferrari PU, which looks really good, and they had a good test. And Audi was brilliant. If you see the shakedown and the first Bahrain testing, they had major issues which interrupted their sessions, but yeah, this test was good. Their recovery was good. They managed to get a huge amount of laps in, and the mileage was also good. A big shout out for Haas as well. They are carrying the Ferrari PU, and they looked really good. And for me, it feels like they would be right up there with Alpine as the best midfield team over the course of this season. And yeah, we have to look out for them, because both performance runs and mileage runs were absolutely brilliant from Haas, and they are optimizing the package beautifully. and that's what we need. So over the course of the season, as it progresses, the teams try to get closer, and that makes it more exciting, to be honest. So who's actually ahead? And if I had to create a ranking based on the testing vibes and what I saw from the testing, so tier 1 is basically Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull. Mercedes looks the most complete, Ferrari looks rapid and they might have the highest peak, McLaren looks the most balanced, and Red Bull looks like they're just waiting to strike. And Aston Martin, they really have some work to do. And most importantly, with this new regulation change, the grid looks very close, especially with the top 4 teams. It looks really close, not like the other major regulation changes where we had a clear runaway favorite. All the top 4 teams are looking very good, and yeah, like I said in the start, the circuits matter more this season. So, who do you think is leading heading into round 1? Is it Mercedes resurgence, or is it Ferrari redemption, or is it a surprise title defense from McLaren, or is it another Max Verstappen masterclass with Red Bull? Drop it in the comments and let me know what do you think about it. And make sure to subscribe my channel. It means the world to me. It also helps me in bringing more quality content to you. And I will see you in the next video with the Australian Grand Prix predictions. Cheers.